back taxes land for sale. So welcome back. Now today's episode, I'm going to answer the question, back taxes land for sale. So back taxes land for sale, that means the property's in default. So the question is a little bit on the challenging side, but I think we can sort this out. So let's do that together. Now my name is Ted Thomas. I've been involved in the tax defaulted business for a little over 30 years. And this is nothing more than a subset of the traditional real estate business. So what's traditional real estate? Well, normally that would be homes. It would also be vacant residential buildable lots, maybe small farms, small apartment properties, even some small acreages like 3 and 4 acres. Now, thousands of people are employed in that business. All right, for example, there's not just brokers and agents. There's going to be title companies, going to be attorneys, going to be appraisers, going to be a home inspector. So a lot of people involved in that business. This is nothing more than a subset of that business when we talk about tax defaulted property. So I've been involved in tax defaulted real estate, not only tax lien certificates, but tax defaulted property for over 30 years. Now these properties are in default, which simply means the people have not paid their property tax. So today's episode is talking about back taxes land for sale. So a lot of people want to buy these properties because they know they're coming up for auction, and the auction is going to be because the treasurer of the county has confiscated the property. So there's over 3,000 plus counties across the United States. In all counties, they have tax defaulted auctions. So these are separate taxing districts and separate auctions. All 3,000 are conducted by the particular county that they're in. Now, I didn't make the rules. The legislature made the rules. And so all 50 states have a legislature. That's the governing body for the state. And they make the rules for the tax auctions. And then they pass them on down to the board of supervisors of the county or the county commissioners. All right, now the county commissioners are going to say, all right, to the county treasurer, get out there and make sure that you levy the tax, try to collect the tax. If you can't collect the property tax, well, then we're going to have to confiscate and seize the property. All right, so they didn't make the rules. The legislature made the rules, but the county has to do the enforcement of all that. All right, so what happens if someone doesn't pay the tax, the treasurer will send a default notice. Then the next thing they'll do, they'll start the process, which is called due process, and let the people know that they're going to lose the property and that the county sheriff will come out along with the treasurer, and guess what? They're going to confiscate, they're going to seize that property, all right? Now, once they seize the property, what are they going to do with it? Well, of course, they want to get rid of it. So the auction is going to be posted in the newspaper, all right? It's also going to be posted on the county website because they want to get rid of it. Now, what are they going to get rid of it for? Well, they're going to sell the property. More than likely, starting bid will be the back taxes. Now, I don't know what it'll sell for, but its starting bid is going to be close to the back taxes because what do they want? They want the tax money. They don't want the property. They're not interested in the property. They've got plenty of property themselves. So what they want to do is they just want the revenue so they can pay the taxes. Why do they want to pay the taxes? Well, guess what? The tax revenue is what pays the county employees, pays the school teachers, going to pay the firefighters, going to pay some at the hospital. You're getting the idea. All the bills for the county has, well, property tax revenue takes care of that. So what will the county do? Well, they'll incentivize people to come to the sale because they'll try to sell it at very close to, at least they'll start at the back taxes. So that could be a 60%, 70%, could be an 80% discount from what the assessed value is. All right, so what are they going to do when they have the auction? During the auction, they'll actually cancel any mortgage, they'll delete the mortgage, or a deed of trust loan will be wiped out. So when you buy at one of these back tax auctions, which is a tax defaulted auction, you're going to get a property more than likely free of the mortgage and the tax deed loan and some of the other attachments. All right, now different states will have different rules. So I don't know what the rule is, but you'll need to learn what the rule is for that county and for that state. So you're kind of getting the idea. So that you need to know and be well versed on what's going to happen at the auction. All right. Now, what do you want to do with these properties? Well, of course, what you want to do is you want to buy them as low a price as possible and then resell them. So where are you going to resell them? Well, that's something you ought to think about. Very few people think about the marketing, but first place you probably want to think of is Craigslist. Then, of course, you can use Facebook Marketplace. marketplace. You could put it in the MLS system. You could use Trulia. You could use Zillow. You're getting the idea. So if you bought it for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar, why not buy it low and then sell it low? That meaning, yes, you'd like to get retail, but why not sell it quickly for cash is what I do. So buy it for 10 or 20 cents and sell it for 50 or 60 cents on the dollar, make yourself a nice profit, and move on and do it again. There's going to be plenty. This is a business of abundance. There's going to be way too many properties. I can assure you of that. All right. So would that work for you if you could buy for 10 or 20 cents on the dollar? It sure works for most people that get involved in this business. So I've been involved for 30 years, and I find out that these county auctions, I've observed many of them, they have their own special rules. So don't go to an auction without reading the rules and understanding what's going to happen. Now, sometimes there's a waiting period. What would the waiting period be? When you buy the property, you have to wait to get the deed. You can't resell it legally until you have the deed. Now, you could, have a contract to resell it, but you can't actually do the sale until you own it. So you have to wait for the deed. Some places take 90 days for the deed. Other places get them right away. So you're going to have to know these rules so that you can do the right thing. All right. Now, when you get a deed to the property, in most cases, it's a quit claim deed. I didn't say quick. I didn't say fast. I said quit, Q-U-I-T. That means stop. Okay, a quit claim deed is what you're really going to end up with. So it might have a different name, might say treasurer or sheriff or whatever, deed on it, but it's really going to have the effect of a quit claim. So the narrative part of it is going to say that it's a quit claim deed. Now look, I'm not an attorney, I'm not a CPA, okay, so I'm not trying to practice law, but I'm a real estate guy, and I understand, you don't have to be a broker to understand this. A quit claim deed is a serious matter. Why is it serious? Because number one, when it's quit claim, the county is saying to you, we are not responsible for the title, and we're not responsible for any defects in the property. So what is a quit claim deed? It's me, a layman, saying to you that you're taking on 100% responsibility when you buy for back taxes, okay? If you buy it before the auction. Now, if you buy it after the auction, it's going to be the same kind of problem. You're going to get a quit claim deed, and you're taking on responsibility there. All right, so newcomers need to think about what attorney they're going to hire, or certainly you need to have someone at the title company advising you on this. You don't want to buy these properties and think that the property is free and clear, but you want to make sure it is free and clear before you buy it. But now when you bought it, you're going to make sure that you understand any defect in the property or a defect in the title is going to be your responsibility. So nothing to be scared about. There's nothing wrong. It's just the procedures for this kind of business is the county, they don't know anything about the property. They just confiscated it. So they're going to pass it on to you and say, look, we don't know if it's got defects in the property, and we don't know if there's defects on the title. So we're going to pass it on to you with a quit claim deed. Now, could land have some defects? Yes, it could. Maybe it's got a drainage problem. Maybe it's got hazardous waste on it. I don't know what it is, but you need to have checked those things ahead of time. But you're going to end up with a quit claim deed. All right. Now, if you're an unsophisticated buyer, then certainly you got to get an attorney to help you out, even if you've done this for a long time. All right, so I'm answering your question, back taxes, land for sale. Well, there's going to be plenty of these available. So all 3,000 counties are going to have tax defaulted auctions. From my experience, about 25% of all the properties on each one of those auctions are going to be land. All right, so every county will auction a property. They'll have a list. They'll publish the list. Anybody can go to the auction. Anybody can bid at the auction. They'll publicize it on the county website. They'll put it in the newspaper. So if you look at the list, about 25% of those properties will be vacant land. So what we're talking about today is back taxes, land for sale. So these are properties the county confiscated. Now they want to sell them, and they're going to sell them usually starting out with very low prices. Now, if you're going to buy land, you need to know, you should be talking to land brokers, and you need to know that you're going to need a survey. No one's going to buy you land from you without a survey. Now, why do you want a survey? You want a survey a couple of reasons. First of all, you want to make sure your land isn't on covering up somebody else's land. In other words, you're not encroaching and pushing into other people. By the same token, you don't want someone encroaching on your land. So how are you going to find that out? When you get out of your car, you look, it all looks the same. You don't know good from bad. So what you need is a land broker to advise you a little bit, and you need to make sure that you do a survey, that you go out there and with the survey, and they're going to explain to you exactly what you bought. All right, now, experienced brokers are very experienced with retail around non-rural areas, in other words, urban areas. All right, that's one broker that knows what he's doing, but a land broker knows another set of values. In other words, where's the water? What about the power? What about drainage? There's a lot of things to know about land. So that just don't jump in and start buying land because you could buy it for 10 cents on the dollar. Again, the survey is important. Land broker is important. Lenders are not going to lend you any money without a survey. All right, so what kind of property are we buying? We're buying property that could be slightly used and abused when we're buying real estate. But now we're talking today about buying back taxes for land. All right, I don't know what could be good or bad on the land. It could have a drainage problem. It could have toxic waste on it. I don't know, but you need to check on that. So my experience has shown that when it comes to land sales at the tax defaulted auctions, there's less bidding than there is on houses. Now, that's probably because most people are born in a house, and so they grow up in a house. They're conceived in a house, and then they grow up in it, and guess what? They're going to buy houses. All right, so I'm running out of time for this particular video. I'll see you next time around. Meanwhile, if you are going to buy properties and you want to make sure that you get boots on the ground and you see the property, what do I mean? That means I don't care where it is, you or someone you trust needs to look at that property. Make sure there wasn't a hurricane, make sure there wasn't a flood, make sure there wasn't a wind damage, make sure it didn't burn up, make sure it's not next to a chicken farm. Make sure you know what you're buying. You wouldn't marry the woman unless you had already seen her, right? So you want to do the same thing with their land. Now, right below me, if you want to get an auction list and learn a little bit about that, just go below me and you can order an auction list. I'm Ted Thomas.